Behaving like an ostrich, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris cannot plunge their head into the sand and hope the disaster at the border will magically disappear. They don't want to go to the border because they know that TV cameras will follow them in the border. And their only hope is people don't notice the lives that are being destroyed, the crime that is coming in, the vandalism that is coming in, the public health threat that we're seeing.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. I also think it's important to note that that was not played on MSNBC or CNN. It was C-SPAN that had that, and that's how we had access to it. So C-SPAN is covering the crisis on the border and picking up Texas Senator Ted Cruz there. Welcome back into Wake Up America. We are continuing to see a massive surge of people crossing into the United States illegally, bringing illegal drugs every day, all while the Biden administration sits by basically doing nothing to address the crisis. Joining us now for more on this is retired Texas Department of Public Safety Captain Jaeson Jones. Jaeson, good morning. It really is shocking that the soundbite we just played, you won't see that anywhere else. And if we didn't pull it from C-SPAN, you wouldn't see it here either. But the crisis is real. Joe Biden asked Kamala Harris to manage this crisis almost 90 days ago. She's yet to go to the border. It's shocking. She'll go to the Northern Triangle countries, but she has no interest in going to the border. Where are we right now with things down there?
Yeah, it's extremely frustrating, I'll tell you. And for the people on the southwest border, they are also as well. Look, we have to recognize that with this surge, we are seeing a lot of trends we've never seen, and I think that's something that's not really discussed. And I'll give you an example of that. In 2014, we saw the unaccompanied alien children surging along with more people from South America. In 2019, as the surge hit us, we began to see more people from special interest alien countries. Those are people who come from a country with a terrorism nexus. Now, this time around, it is different. And what we are seeing is more fentanyl than ever before. The Texas Department of Public Safety this year has an 800% increase in seizures of fentanyl. And when you're talking about a nation that now has 91,862 overdose deaths from fentanyl and methamphetamine coming directly from the Mexican cartels, you can directly make that link. The second thing we're seeing in this surge is the level of human trafficking. I got to tell you, the cartels have doubled down, and this is really something that has to be discussed.
Right.
And that is that the smuggling of people has transitioned into human trafficking. And we are seeing things we've never seen before. Now you overlay that with the fact that our government is moving people throughout this country. Every state, every city, every county is now a border community because of the policies of the U.S. government. We've never been here before. And that's why you're seeing the rise in homicides in this country, 25% rise in 2020.
And these gangs,
we've never seen that before.
No,
never in
the
American
numbers
history.
We're approaching historic levels right now with illegal crossings and the drugs. To your point, these gangs, by the way, are extremely violent. Just this weekend, we had shootings in a Mexico border city that is right on the other side of the border from McAllen, Texas. 18 people were killed. That's the number right now. That number could go up. But again, this is right across the border, and these are these cartels and these coyotes that are over there moving drugs right across our border. And now it's starting to get extremely violent.
Well, it is, and this is why I get very frustrated right now with the Homeland Security enterprise. Where is the DHS secretary to absolutely come out and tell the American people and be transparent with what is happening? We've heard nothing from the FBI director. And this task force model that we see from the federal agencies doesn't work when you're dealing with cartels and when you're dealing with transnational crime that has the breadth and scope to affect every part of this country. Look, we've been at this for a long time in Texas. We know what works and we know what doesn't. And you have to have a unified command concept where all the leadership of all the different agencies are working together.
Right.
But yet, right now, we've not even heard from the leadership of the Homeland Security enterprise at all. I mean, it's extremely frustrating. But with that being said, I'll also say this. It is absolutely fixable. And when we began to look at the cartels for what they are and designate them as foreign terrorist organizations, when we begin to collect CompStat data, get away from the FBI's broken uniform crime reporting and NIBR system, and began to create a unified command concept across this country where all the agencies are working together, that's where we will win. And I want everyone to know that because I don't think that's being talked about what solutions are to the crime that's going across this country.
Right. Do you think it's a good thing Texas Governor Greg Abbott says he wants to complete the unfinished parts of the wall, at least along his state, the southern border in the state of Texas? Is that a good thing? Is that something that could happen and should happen?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We know historically, going back, we just take the politics out of this. CBP has been trying for some time to get this border wall built. The border wall, where it is in place, absolutely works. And if you look at where we're having most of the crime, especially from Miguel Alemán all the way down to Panitas, Texas, that's where you don't have a border wall. And so walls work. We know it. I mean, we got to remove the politics out of this and do what works for the American people to protect this country. Because I really will tell you this. I believe we're at a real tipping point. You know, the 30-year gains of law enforcement to lower crime at unprecedented levels in this country has been lost in the last year and a half. I mean, it's just been lost.
Hey, Jason,
we've got to take action.
We have about 30 seconds left, and I just want to get in one quick question. So I was with some family. I've got family down in Dallas, and I asked them if the border situation, which Dallas, of course, is almost 5 hours away from the border, but I asked them if it was really affecting them on a daily basis, or are they noticing anything, or are facilities in Dallas being used? They said yes, facilities in Dallas are being used to house many of these migrants. This weekend, there were several MS-13 gang members arrested. There were also several sex offenders that were arrested. Let's say they weren't apprehended. Where are these people typically going to in the lower 48, if not the big Texas cities along the border there?
Well, that's the thing. Historically, they would just go where they could afford to go. But now what we have is we've got our own government subsidizing this and moving them at taxpayers' expense throughout the country. And that's where I get very frustrated because, we forget that how the cartel really operates. They utilize our tier 1 gangs throughout our country and our U.S.-based street gangs like MS-13, like you mentioned, to commit a lot of the crimes. And so there's a true network, if you will, throughout the country. And those networks operate very differently. Some are hubs, some are spokes, some are wheel or mesh networks. And how you go after them depends upon how that network is set up. But if we don't even acknowledge that we are in the middle of a massive crisis, if we don't even acknowledge the level of crime that's happening in this country and have some kind of discussion, even if it's not going to happen from the White House, where is the leadership of the Homeland Security enterprise? They need to be held accountable for that. I truly mean that, Rob. I mean, we need action and we need it now.
Jason, thanks so much. It's amazing. It took less than 90 days for the Vice President, Kamala Harris, to render herself utterly insignificant when it comes to the border, somebody who's supposed to be leading us through this crisis down there. Jaeson Jones, pleasure to see you as always.
Good seeing you. Thanks for having me.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, where real news for real people.